Alright guys, so this 96 300ZX is in for a new clutch. Alright guys, so this 96 300ZX is in for a new clutch. So real quick, we're just gonna end up placing the clutch because this one is gone. It's gone. You put it in first gear, you let go of the clutch pedal, it doesn't go anywhere. Engine keeps going, it just doesn't do anything. Clutch is gone. I hope it didn't take anything else out with it, but we'll see once we drop the trans. Alright guys, so as you can see, trans is out, and inside we actually have quite a surprise. This is all clutch material. It's all broken apart. Alright, and so now what we're gonna have to do is, of course, we're gonna have to clean up the whole bell housing, pop off the throwout bearing. We're gonna have to clean up all the friction surfaces, re-grease everything, just make sure it's clean, and then we'll be able to install this trans back in, clearly after installing the new clutch. So now, take off the pressure plate, just right here. This thing is on there. Oh my gosh. All right, so there you have it. This clutch disc is just gone, dude. It's just been roasted. Just to specify, this isn't our clutch. This is an aftermarket clutch, and I am actually not allowed to state what kind of clutch it is, but just so you guys know, not ours. Okay, so now we're looking at the flywheel. This is our Z lightweight flywheel, but looking at all the damage, so many heat spots, and then there's warps in the actual friction surface. Something like this would just be better to be replaced, you know. You don't want to take your time trying to resurface this, especially since it has so many warps in it. You can resurface these flywheels, but it's only recommendable if there's minimal damage to them, like minimal wear. Yeah, in the case of this one, since we want this car gone and out of here, back with its owner, we're gonna end up replacing this bad boy. All right guys, so we installed the new flywheel. As you can see, huge difference from the one we took off. Yeah, right now I'm gonna install the clutch and then stab the trans back in and we'll be good to go. The rule of thumb, always clean out the bell housing. It was really bad before, as you guys saw, and now we're good to go. We put a new throwout bearing on it, re-greased the throwout bearing collar, our pivot ball point, and then yeah, now she's ready to go back in. As you guys have seen before and we've explained, you always want to run the clutch disc on the input shaft to get rid of the burrs on the actual clutch disc, smoothing that out. This will also help for smoother installation. So just a couple rotations of this, and get in and out, and you should be good. So along with our Specialty Z Max Street clutch, you will get clutch disc, pressure plate, throwout bearing, which we installed, and a pilot bushing, which we already installed, and some of that purple grease that we use to lubricate the clutch disc. Here's the pressure plate. I'm just gonna clean this off before installing, since it does have some grease from assembly to prevent rust. So let me clean this off, and then we'll get to the installation.
All right, guys, Gus brought in his 2016 GTR, simple Ecutech calibration, just on 91 octane, full exhaust, and we added a set of our 3-inch specialty intakes on it. Next up probably will be flex fuel, but nonetheless did really well, did exactly what it should, 563 and almost 590 foot-pounds of torque. So beautiful 2016 GTR in black, love these things, did really good. All right, guys, this is fresh from the importer. Literally just came off the boat. JJ's 98 S14 with a Rocket Bunny body kit, as you can see. So really cool car. It's in, so we can do a health check on it. We've gone ahead and done fluids. We're gonna be doing, of course, a compression test, checking our timing. It's gonna be going on the dyno. We did a smoke leak test. We could see that there was a lot of smoke coming right out of the seal for the throttle body. So a lot of leaking coming from here. And yeah, overall, pretty nice, pretty cool looking car. It has a HKS FCON ECU in it. We're not too sure what it has for a turbocharger, but it appears to be an HKS variant of some sort. So pretty interesting to see. It looks like it does have an upgraded head gasket on it, and we'll put it on the dyno, see what kind of power it makes, and hopefully everything goes nice and smooth.
All right, so we got cylinder 1 right here. $140. 145. 140. So 140, 145, 140, 142.
All right, Dan did the compression test for us. Pretty good values. We got 140, cylinder number 1, cylinder number 2 is at 145, cylinder 3 is 140, and finally cylinder 4 is 142. So it's got a good health check, it's got the right spark plugs in there, it's got an 8 heat range. We're gonna go ahead and button it up and we'll get it strapped down on the dyno. All right, guys, so we made some passes on the S14 and definitely could stand an improvement in the calibration. So I don't have any access to the ASFCon stuff, and really we're just gonna yank that stuff out and we're gonna go with a Haltech Elite, clean all that stuff up, get the right sensors in it, and we'll make some adjustments. I think JJ wants us to change a few things around. We might get it on the Haltech first and see what we can do with the current setup, but I'll get with JJ. We'll see what the plan is for this bad boy, and we'll definitely make more power. So if you take a look, we'll look at the graph together, but it just tanks right at the top. The AFRs are super rich, just cruising it around in the 3,000 plus RPM range. It's got a few lean spots, so it doesn't drive all that great. So definitely needs some help in that department. So 283, 284 is as much as it did. It is running 100 octane just to be safe because we don't know what the calibration has in it. We don't know how much timing it is. It's only running about 11 pounds of boost. So, 91 octane would suffice with what's in there now, but really it needs to get fixed, and that's what we're gonna do. All right, we've had this 350Z in before, and we tuned it a couple years ago. New owner has it, and the new owner was experiencing some weird electrical gremlins, and turns out there was some issues with the harness, some issues with the fuel pump wiring that had been done previously. MAF sensor and the wiring were also a problem, and it took that sensor out. So we've gone ahead, we repaired all that stuff because the car came in basically dead, not running on arrival. So pretty cool little build. It's running a single turbo setup. It was originally a APS single turbo kit, and the turbo has been replaced since it had the kit installed. So I don't quite remember what APS was using for a turbo. It's got a comp oilless 2871R. So when we had this car in a few years ago, we noted that it was super peaky for torque, and it dropped off, and it would actually start to misfire. And the reason why it would misfire is these engines are really susceptible to back pressure. So really critical, especially if you have a single turbo setup, that you size your turbo correctly. So a 2871, typically on a V6 motor, you use 2 of those. This one only has the 1. So you can imagine how much back pressure is going through it. So once you got above 10, 11 pounds of boost, you would start to get some back pressure, which is not good for the engine. So you'll note when you take a look at that dyno graph that the torque comes in really hard. It makes way more torque than it does horsepower, and the horsepower is low because it just peters off at the top. Nonetheless, it's back up and running to where it was, thankfully, and it is running a return fuel system. It's got Bosch 1000cc injectors in it and all the supporting modifications to go along with it. So really this thing would be really badass with a bigger single turbo, a much bigger single turbo. That 2871, I'm just going off of memory here, I think it's a 56 millimeter turbine wheel size, really small, so you're not getting a whole lot of exhaust through there. And the exducer is a 71 millimeter on the compressor side. So the 2871 is known for being a little bit of a mismatch. Your compressor wheel's pretty big in comparison to your turbine wheel, so that's also not working for it. So this thing really could use easily a 35 series turbo, so something like a 3576, 3582. That would be much better matched for one turbo on a V6 engine. So we'll pull up that dyno graph so we can look at it. All right, so as you can see, we are hitting peak boost at 3,700 RPM, relatively low RPM, and our peak torque is 400 RPM. Thereafter, 407. You can see how that torque comes in pretty good, and then our boost starts to drop off. So if we go anything above this boost pressure, you'll start to note a little bit of a misfire. And again, that is due to that back pressure. So definitely, if the customer is looking for a little bit more power and make things a little bit easier on the motor, definitely would recommend putting in a much bigger single turbo. So as mentioned, at least from Garrett, you can do a 35 series, and that would work really nicely, or maybe even the new G series turbos that they have out there. But nonetheless, there you have it. You can see that power just tank along with the torque, just because it can't get enough exhaust and volume through it. Be fine on a twin turbo setup to run that size turbo, but on a single, definitely a big choke point. So you're just hurting power overall. I would imagine that you could keep a good amount of the low end if you sized everything correctly. If you did a twin scroll setup on the turbine housing, you could probably take not a big hit on the bottom end response. So not a big deal, but definitely something that this car could benefit from.